Good evening, everyone, and welcome to my channel, Travel Adventurer. For those of you that have been following my channel for a while, you'll see on the channel that there is a selection of videos on there that the Ukrainian aid run. So, effectively, I've been traveling to Poland, to where we have team members stationed out in Poland, ready to do aid runs into Lviv in the Ukraine. So that team that's out in Poland and that team I'm part of is the International Humanitarian Aid Team International Humanitarian Support Team. And what we do is we're effectively running logistics from the UK. So we are interlinked with a lot of other small NGOs around the country and also around the world. And what we do is we organise with them to get aid run into Poland. So there's two borders in Poland in which we sort of operate from. I won't go into those for security reasons, but we run through two borders. We've got a warehouse within Poland and also a warehouse within the Ukraine. So what we effectively do is we organise transport of essential aid, and the sort of essential aid currently, although the Ukraine-Russia war is still quite fluid, but the essential aid at the moment is baby foods and equipment, and also medical supplies, especially sort of combat medical supplies. So that's what we try and organise. And what happens is we have a team both based here in the UK and also in Poland, and they liaise with other small NGOs, get that aid together, get vans filled and sent across to Poland. But we also fill big Arctic type trucks that also get shipped across to Poland as well. That aid is then stored in the warehouse in Poland. And then as the need comes into our team from our contacts in Ukraine, we then load out whatever aid is necessary, and our drivers then drive across the border into Ukraine to our contacts out there and ensure that that aid gets to where it needs to go. So the title of the video really is how to best support the Ukrainian fight for freedom. Now, you'll see on the news and you'll see on Facebook and social media groups, there are massive, large charitable companies that are collecting donations, that are collecting money for the Ukrainian war effort. What I would say to you is, those massive charities are really good for big media campaigns, big billboard campaigns. But what happens is their size is also a hindrance. So any aid or any money that goes out to the Ukraine, because of the size of those charitable organisations, it's really difficult for that aid to get on the road and get where it needs to go in a finite amount of time. Generally, the aid is needed there and then. What happens with these very large organisations is it's stored for a long period of time, and aid can't be shipped without, a sign off from somebody's boss and another sign off from somebody's boss. And what happens is the aid gets wrapped up in red tape and it doesn't get to where it needs to go. So what we're trying to do at the International Humanitarian Support Team is we're trying to get rid of all the red tape. So we've made a lot of contacts now that allow us to get the aid that's required out to the staging area in Poland, and then our very small team and other teams in and around our team then drive that aid directly to where it needs to go. and we have contacts in the Ukraine. So, we drive the aid over the border. A lot of the large charity organisations just don't have that capability because of insurance issues and everything else. But our small team loads our small vans with whatever's needed, and it goes across the border and it gets passed on to contacts within the Ukraine, and that aid then is transported to where it's needed the most. Generally, it'll be to the front, especially medical supplies, but also to a lot of those cities which you would have seen on the news that have been heavily bombed, that are under constant sort of Russian oppression. So that's where the aid needs to go, and that's what us at the International Humanitarian Support Team, that is our mission statement. We will get aid to where it needs to go, when it needs to go there. There's no time delay. So any sort of donations, be that physical donations or be that donations of money, that helps the team put together, these quite complicated logistics. It pays for things like fuel, transport, drivers, procurement of the different types of aid, and it gets it to where it needs to go. You might have seen on the news just in the last couple of days, Lviv has now started to be rocketed, started to be bombed. So on that last attack, just to give you some colour into what donations are actually going towards, a lot of train stations were hit, and because the train stations were hit, the electricity substations were also hit. Now, what that meant for the city of Lviv was, mains electricity was knocked out. So as soon as that happened, our team members, both in country and also, back here in the UK and in Poland, jumped to action. And what we have, acquired is a number of generators. And those generators are now being shipped over to the staging area to then be transported by members of our team across the border into the Ukraine to where they are needed. Those generators will be used to power things like maternity wards in hospitals, other hospital wards, sort of essential buildings and businesses within the Ukraine. So that's just one example of, exactly the money that we're raising and from people's kind donations, that's going to providing power in Lviv that's just been hit. Please, 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 I've attached to this live stream a couple of links, really. One's a GoFundMe link. Please spare what you can, to the International Humanitarian Support Team. That money will go directly to where it's needed. Secondly, there is a link to a website which describes the team. It tells you all about what we're doing. It gives you sort of day-by-day updates. So please check us out. We're pretty open and honest. You can drop me, some messages and things. If you see this video, I'll always get back to the messages. And we'll tell you a bit about ourselves. And thirdly is a link to the Travel Adventurer YouTube channel, where we're going to keep posting updates. So I'm currently back in the UK, but there are plans for me to be driving aid back out to the staging area and then into the Ukraine as well. So please spare what you can, be that physical donations. Remember, we're really looking for baby equipment donations and medical donations. So things like combat applied tourniquets, Israeli bandages, things like iodines, birthing packs, any medical supplies that could be spared. We will make sure that gets to the front line. But please spare what you can. if you don't want to make a physical donation, a monetarily donation is always welcome, because that money, like I say, keeps the group funded to be out there to keep organising these big logistic runs and making sure that the aid gets exactly to where it needs to go. So just to summarise, if you are going to donate, I would just ask you to think about the small NGOs, the small groups that are out in Poland and in the Ukraine helping. What I've seen in my personal experience from being out on the ground out there is that the big charity organisations, we're just not seeing. And we're definitely not seeing them on the day-to-day basis. We're in and out of Ukraine. There's just too much red tape. So they've got huge stores of aid, but it just doesn't get anywhere. So please, if you are going to support somebody, please think about supporting the smaller groups. And I would ask you to please donate to the International Humanitarian Support Team. But with that, I'll answer any questions. If any questions do come in, please just leave me a message on the videos. And like I say, I'll get back to everybody. I'll make sure that I do. But thank you very much. And I hope you all enjoy your evening. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.